Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. Today is Monday Fun Day yet again. It's a fun day, Monday. I'm just making it fun for us all, okay? That's all I'm saying when I say Monday Fun Day. Okay, so back, Adroit Living on the Erudition Network with Tina Phillips. And this time, guess what? Again, I have a few prompts again. These guys. So, yeah, Owl's back. The owl is back. Okay, so last week I talked about some things. I hope you all did go and watch last week's episode. Uh, I was talking about a few things as and mothers. I introduced the topic using mothers. So hopefully you guys did have an enjoyable Mother's Day and you took my advice. But I wanna say something before we start. I said I petition for mothers to have um 9 months because we're pregnant for 9 months. But once a mother, you know, always a mother. So I want to repetition after that petition. I want to repetition that we get one day out of every month because of all the things I said in the last video, and because again in this month, I mean this episode, I'm saying once a mother, always a mother. So that stands true. Godmother, and whatever mama status you are, you're once a mother, always a mother, because those kids never leave your heart, never leave your thoughts, and they stay in your prayers. Okay, so let's do a mothers get a Mother's Day. Okay, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. Who doesn't think it's fair? I'll wait for the comments. I'll wait. Don't nobody want to say they're against that idea because everybody has a mother. I don't care if she's here or not. Okay, you have a mother and she still loves you. Okay, so last time we introduced Al. Al was from the commercial where a little innocent kid, I'm going to use prompts to help aid understanding. A little kid came to the owl trusting that the owl had the information that he needed to his important question. His important question was, how many licks does it take to get to the center of this candy? I bought this candy. I invested in this so that I can receive the reward, and the reward is in the middle. How long does it take before I can reap the reward to my investment? I know that's a grown conversation from a kid's commercial, but the reason why I use it is because it's an excellent observation of that commercial, and it is funny, and I like it. So anyway, the owl took the candy from the child, licked the candy 3 times, and bid it. Now the kid doesn't get the investment. Everything that he invested in is now gone. And who benefited? Only the owl, only the person who didn't invest anything, and in a way kind of tricked the kid out of everything he invested, everything he was looking forward to. And the kid just standing there looking, all innocent, while the bird flies the coop. That's a good example of a lot of investments that happen because we don't know. We're just as innocent as the child who trusts the person who is giving this advice so that we can follow. That goes for teachers and students. That goes for any expert in any field where there's someone coming into it with these questions, and they're valid questions, and you could be taken advantage of just because of your vulnerability. Now, why is that important? That's important because where it's led us to now, that was an 80s commercial. It's 2022. How is that relevant now? Let me show you. I'm using that history to help you understand how we gradually got to the point where we are now. And people are mad about cancel culture. Cancel culture exists so that you can stop this sort of thing, because if this happened back in, from the 80s, if it happened now, cancel culture would have canceled it long before it did the damage that it has done now. What it did was it normalized abnormal behavior, cruelty, you know, dark humor. Okay, because the commercial did not, it never corrected the owl. It never did anything. The commercial ended right there, left leaving everybody in oblivion. Like, oh wow, that was cool. Hello, Sean Anthony. We were looking at it and following suit via the subliminal messaging. The subliminal messaging stated that this was okay. This is normal. Just do this and it's going to be funny. It's going to be okay. And never explain what, never explain anything. Leave everybody to their own understanding. And it's completely okay. But now you have it where a child is not eating their food. So the adult gets a stuffed animal such as this one, attempts to feed the child the food, and the stuffed animal says no, so they beat the animal, and now they try to feed that same food to the animal. Now the teddy bear takes it, and guess what? So does the child. What is that saying? That's saying that you are very much aware of subliminal messaging. And the subliminal message is you do what I say, or I'm going to take from you. I'm going to harm you. It's saying a lot, and it's messing with people's mental well being. So, in the last video, I stated how a lot of people are taking unguided um, information that a lot of people are putting out here via social media. Whatever social media network that you're using, TikTok, what YouTube, whatever it is, and I'm encouraging people to get guided instruction because that is not the norm. That is not what we want for entertainment purposes. That may be something that you may want to do because it's hilarious. But when it comes to practical application, that means applying it to your life, applying it to your situations. Don't do it. Don't do it because DCFS, child services, whatever you want to call it, that's real. And they're not going to find it funny, especially like it was trending when a child misbehaves, cut the kid's hair. And one guy put on social media how he cut the kid's hair to look like George Jefferson. Hey, Facebook user. Uh, that and everybody harped on that person like that's wrong, and that person didn't understand why that was wrong. And it's like, hello, I see people starting to come in. Hi, Michael. That's a terrible thing to do to me. Yeah, I laughed at the video. I know we a lot of people laugh. I can't help it. I laugh too. I'm not saying it's not funny, but I am saying we do need to put out here. I'm pressing that. I'm using that as an example to press the issue that we need guided um perspective out here because a lot of people that's all they see, like with the commercial that I showed, that's all they saw, and that was the end. So everyone began to follow that, just like a lot of people began to follow the thing where people are feeding their kids and that kid doesn't want to eat, so they beat the teddy bear. And now and the kid sees that, and now they're like, now I don't have to, say less. And it's like that's not okay, that's not cool, because you jacking up their mentality. And when you mess with people's mental ability, you're causing harm. And the harm occurs in an unpredictable way where people can't measure it. Scientists can't do studies on the depth of the damage because it's so much implied there. Does not directly state it. So you can do as much research as you want. You're not going to get the answers that you're looking for because it's so much implied there. And you don't, what did Eddie say? I beat Teddy Bear once. His name would not be mentioned. I was forced. You better stay away from my stuff. That's all I carry out. Whatever you deal with your sisters, they might be mad at you. So this is not a judging video. So that's a good thing, Michael. I appreciate you saying that. Not to judge because I don't like to judge, but I do like to point out where we can improve. So Adroit Living shows what you're doing now and what you used to do, and showing the relation as to how we got where we are now and how we can get to where we're going, like here, the present, okay, and the future. So what we want to do is show how this little guy here, He's adorable. He's attractive. He's good to look at. Everybody loves, listening to somebody that looks good, talking good. They feeling good. They making you feel eh. But you dismiss that because they look good, they sound good, and everybody's watching the colorful interactions, that magic trick where they deceiving you, but you're thoroughly entertained. So you ignore the fact that they're deceiving you. That's cleverly deceitful, So that needs to be pointed out. Thank you. It needs to be pointed out so that people can start putting things in better perspective so they can get out of those dark places. Those dark places are shrinking the population. I'm gonna put it that way because I don't want to speak, negative things, but we all know what that means. You shrinking the population because the mental well-being is so disturbed that people are doing things to themselves. They're allowing bad things to happen to themselves because they don't value their life. They don't value anyone else's life. And the importance about that is that you want to make sure that people value their life, because just like saying, it's disturbing to me. Let's put it this way. It's extremely disturbing to me when people say Black Lives Matter and then someone comes up and says all lives matter. That just showed right there you didn't understand. You didn't understand the assignment. It wasn't to say that all lives don't matter. It's to point out that we must understand this important fact. Black lives matter. Why? Because if you can validate that life doesn't matter and you can do harm to that person because of their difference, then you have just validated doing wrong again. And I'm going to have to use my prompts again. In the 80s versus now in the year 2022. So do you understand better now? You can't do that and justify that you don't understand why somebody is doing what they're doing. Because what you did was you validated wrong. And now everyone has to undo that damage in order to move forward in a positive manner. And in order to get out of those dark places, you got to do this. And it doesn't happen overnight. My example, the 80s and the year 2022, we shouldn't still be battling this. This shouldn't even be a problem now. And you have to think about it as how it relates to what's about to happen. Back when I was growing up, we were taught to forecast, unless you consider place. And it's like, if you're going to say, for example, um, well, we're just doing this now. We're just doing this for now. We're just doing this for now. And you justifying it. And now you find yourself in court. Now in the court of law, the way this works is they show how some people, for example, if they justified it here, what they'll do is use this example, this case, to prove this case so that now it's valid. So if you get away with it in the commercial in the 80s and you get away with it in YouTube now in the year 2022. So if you continue to say, well, it's valid that police officer or that person, that Karen or whatever you want to say did XYZ and they got away with it. Now you've justified and perpetuated a problem that's going to lead a lot of people in dark places that were easily avoidable. And that's the thing. These things are easily avoidable. So now the young man I was talking about, one of the characters, I'm gonna say, the YouTubers that I mentioned, I said some YouTubers were doing some things, and it seems like it's causing more problems than it's solving. Unfortunately, one of the YouTubers, yet again, have passed away, and that's the reputation that that person has now. And a lot of people are in their feelings and mixed emotion about people saying, "Good, that person's dead," because they put themselves out there as a negative um, influence in a lot of people's eyes. And he's not the only one. The most recent character to pass was not the only person that was a social influence that passed that was disliked by a lot of people. And everybody got on social media saying, "Oh, well, I'm happy that person's dead. I'm happy that person's dead because he was a negative person." Unfortunately, that happens to be said with a lot of guys. Guys have a different perspective, and that should be addressed. Guys and girls do not, I don't care if you are whatever your sexual preference is, we have a different brain. Sorry. We have a different brain and it works differently. Women's thoughts and men's thoughts are not the same. Men have a perspective, and it's difficult to express that perspective when people don't understand. And for example, some guys may not understand how they're offending a woman because he's going to talk to her like a man regardless of his sexual preference, and a woman's going to receive that man regardless of her sexual preference as a woman, the way the woman thinks. What did you say, Michael, when people were talking about serve the rainforest, save the rainforest? All for us. Yes, they did. And you know what? It is historical and there is a great deal of repetition in it. And that's why, unfortunately, Eddie doesn't like it, but because he doesn't like when I use these animals. Yes, I'm a grown person. Uh, and just like he's a grown man and he does not like mimes, but I didn't bring a mime. So let's let's stay on, let's stay on the fact that I am being conscious of the fact that some people don't like mimes, but who doesn't like an owl and a teddy bear? We all love the little innocent teddy bears. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, a large part of people not um understanding has to do a lot with uh, it could be, Dustin. I don't know. So a lot of the problem is people don't learn to self-soothe. A lot of the importance behind self-soothing is exchange. Okay, but wow, that's deep. But it's gonna take me away from the topic, so I'm gonna have to stay on the topic. Yes, we love. Yeah, but it's perspective based. So I'm trying to stay middle of the road with it, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to stay middle of the road with it so we can get the concept of why it's important to have guided perspective and differentiate the difference, tell the difference between guided perspective and people who I got it. This guy, they the kid thought that this guy was providing guided perspective. He didn't. He was in it for himself. This guy, he does provide guided perspective. He doesn't talk back. He doesn't say anything. But you know what? Every time you need him, no matter rain, sun, nothing. And he doesn't mind that you only come to him at the midnight hour when everybody else is gone. Because you're not hurting his feelings. Because he's a teddy bear. And you put that in perspective. And you kind of sort of move away from having your teddy bear. And guys have teddy bears too. My mom gave me this one when I was a little girl. And I had it all throughout that time until I replaced my teddy bear with Eddie. I want this teddy bear back. Since Eddie in the comments. And Dustin said, "Is it nap time?" That joke is for y'all. That was aimed at y'all. So anyway, you being triggered by the teddy bear. You're not in competition with the teddy bear because the teddy bear is not anatomically correct. Boom. But this isn't an after five show, so I'm gonna keep it PG. But anyway, so this guy, uh, this teddy bear is a talisman for a lot of people. You know how some people use the cross that they wear on their necklace as a talisman. It is a particular object that you use, or a lot of people know as um, something that helps you to strengthen what's already in you. Okay, let's put it that way. It's already in you to self soothe, but you, as a little kid, may turn to a teddy bear. And now this teddy bear is slowly teaching you to self soothe because it's there every time without complaint. And a lot of people get lonely, you know, who does it? So you get lonely. You turn to the teddy bear, and the teddy bear is right there without complaint, without giving you, what is it, excuses and justifying wrongs. It says nothing. It says nothing. You hold this teddy bear and you cry, you pray, you do whatever it is that soothes you. And once you're finished, you put this teddy bear in a safe space where you could come back to him so you can again soothe yourself. And even though all of that soothing seems to be coming from that teddy bear, what you really have done is you've trained yourself to self soothe. So you're not looking for people. You don't look for people to justify you. You don't look for people to provide you permission to be grown or to make adult, mature decisions that are directly affecting you and all of the intricacies concerning you. So you're not looking for people. It don't matter what this clown say. This clown is supposed to be an expert in his field. However, you know that's conflicting with what you feeling and what you want and how you. So you don't have to listen to this clown because you were taught to self-soothe. You were taught that I don't have to conflict with this guy. I'm going to go to this guy's boss. I'm going to go to this guy's upper management. I'm going to go up even above that. And yes, there are levels above the boss, the manager, the CEO, and the district manager. We'll get into that if you pay. So I can't give everything for free. I can't give everything for free. What am I talking about? You're going to have to rewind. Sound like you're going to have to rewind for all of those who have been paying attention to this point. So look, you have to understand some information I can't give you for free, but this is what I do. So I can't give you everything for free, but feel free to inbox me and get consultation that you will have to pay for. Okay. So back to the whole self-soothing. So now that you learn to self-soothe, you are confident, you're stronger, you're not perfect, and you're not without flaws and the ability to make mistakes, but you're somewhere stronger so that when these gaslighters come in and they try to take your candy from you, you feel confident in understanding that, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. And like a lot of positive faiths tell those who study it, see the BS, cross the street from the BS, and turn in the other direction. One of the most famous things, because a lot of Americans, and this is broadcasting from America, a lot of Americans turn to the Bible. South, North, everybody over here, they turn to the Bible for that. So in the book of Proverbs, you will find that. What does that say? Question: do you think that men? Well, it's a good question. I'm going to have to address that, and I appreciate your question. So stop attacking the teddy bear. What's wrong with you? This is not a competition. So anyway, Dustin, I want to say, like I said earlier, men's brains and women's brains do work differently. That's why a lot of communication problems occur when you're talking to the opposite sex, regardless of your sexual preference, because the way you think is just different. And that's why psychologists have already stated men or young men, baby men, little baby males born with the male gender, whatever, male brain. You born with a male brain. You think differently and you operate differently. In the developmental stages, they are wired to act via physical before they speak. Young girls, however, they state, studies show that girls, they're more vocal first, then physical. So that in itself shows that yes, our brains are wired differently. However, they complement one another. And in the show that I did with the After Five talk with Philanda, Jesse, and Eddie, you might want to watch that one because we did talk at length about those differences and how that impacts relationships um, and other situations to include business as well. So I appreciate your question, but please go watch it, like it, and share it. Okay. And that way, when you ring the bell to see the next show, we could be all caught up to speed. But that was a great question because that does bear repeating. What did Eddie say? I'm gonna do this. Okay. A lot of times people go to the gym, men, they go to the gym and they feel like, man, this is kind of conflicting with what I'm feeling. And it's not really giving me the soothing, the completeness that I need, that I was looking for. And then they go out here and say, well, oh, you need to take this powder. Oh, you need to build muscle. Oh, you need this. That may help someone. But if you're finding that, I wasn't guided perspective either. But I'm just saying, from the perspective of a psychologist, what I would suggest in that profession, being of that profession rather, if you find yourself unable to self-soothe, you need to seek professional help. And that's why it's important for us to get out here with guided perspective so people can understand that, yeah, that might work for some people doesn't. But let me show you something. What I'm talking about when I talk about this teddy bear is like a talisman. A lot of people use rosary beads as a talisman, um, because they're trying to focus. They're focusing their prayers, right? They're focusing their prayers and they're counting and they're trying to make sure. But it shows in all positive faiths that you have to consecrate. That means to focus when you're praying, be at peace, be silent, be still. So these talismans, these various talismans that's being used, they're being used for a psychological purpose. All right, that makes more sense. It's a psychological purpose because you need to be in alignment with the whole man. So you need to be mentally, physically, and just everything, just at peace. That's why some people they say and they hum and they cross their legs and they get by themselves. A lot of Christians go to their prayer closet, in order to self-soothe. It's not always spiritual. That's a good question. It's not always spiritual because do you find this teddy bear to be spiritual? Eddie finds it to be a trigger for other reasons. But we do find, Eddie is right, that a lot of studies have shown, stop it, you are offended by the teddy bear, stop it. And yes, thank you, Eddie. A lot of people do find, a lot of studies are showing that a great deal of people have used prayer in the jobs, in the schools, and various, especially in the hospitals, to self-soothe and to bring themselves in that hierarchy of need at the very top of that pyramid that I provided. It brings them to a transcendence level where they can mentally call themselves and believe themselves to not be sick because they spirituality, okay, because now they've learned to be at one. Their spirituality moves their body, their physical and inner workings, because it's a mental thing that's happening with the brain physically. As scientists can see, there's something that's going on with the brain, and that's why they do these studies. There's something going on with the brain. The mental state is altering the physical, and they're learning. So scientists don't have all the answers, and we could study all these things, and we do, but we need to make the public aware so that they can grow with us, and so they'll be more willing to do and participate in these studies with us, so that they're not looking like, oh, you just this, and they'll value the information more. But a lot of these studies are taking place with people who have Alzheimer's and at the very last state. So it's more ethical, and people understand, if something wrong happens, they have that, disclaimer and everything. But that may be a little too deep. But so this is not a spiritual talisman, but it does have the potential and is rated higher to have the potential to self-soothe regardless of your faith. So a lot of people, they don't have a particular faith. They have a non-faith or a lack of any faith in spirituality. So the more popular one by all the people who have any spiritual awareness or acceptance of the spiritual realm or emotions within themselves, They even have this guy. So this guy is universal. So that's why I'm using this guy as an example of self-soothing. It's not to negate the answer, the hard questions about spirituality, because there are studies and they're continuing to do studies like that. And because your question, Dustin, if you were to keep putting those questions out there, scientists, psychologists, everyone will start to answer that question. They do so by how many people want to know. Okay, just like ALS, when a lot of people were doing those studies of doing the challenge, that brought awareness, that brought more money, and therefore it made some changes, positive changes. Yes, a lot of babies do suck their thumb because you take away their talisman before they were ready, because you really do have to explain to them. Because if you don't explain to them properly, they're going to revert back to things and need someone, and they have a higher potential of being gaslighted by the glamour, the glitz, and the glory that is the wrong perspective, or is not guided perspective. Because I'm telling you, that owl is thoroughly entertaining. However, it's not a guided perspective, and we're not telling people the difference between guided perspective. So when they follow the wrong perspective and they land into a dark space, they don't know how to communicate that they're in a dark space. That's why it's important to share this video and these videos that I'm putting out here, because we don't know how to communicate to people what we need. Even though I put that hierarchy of needs chart out there, and explained it thoroughly, it's a lot of people out here that still don't understand, and they don't understand because they still need one-on-one interactions with this guided perspective. But where to get it from? That's always the question. Where do I get it from? So if we put this out here, and if we put in the comments, some people who watch this, they may comment, they may reach out to that person, but they'll be aware of who's asking, who needs it, and it will show the importance of answering these questions. So that's why I appreciate you answering asking that question, Dustin. And Eddie, I appreciate you answering, because just like I said it the way I said it as a woman, Eddie said it in a different way, and suddenly that's the answer. So that right there goes to show that perspective as well, where men and women don't communicate the same. So the answer isn't exactly, getting in there the way we needed to get in there. That's why we need, when we're looking for guided perspective, we need people who we can relate to, people who understand the way we talk and the way we communicate, so that the right communication is getting through. That's why no one has to worry about, I'm the one that's saying it. Why is somebody else getting the credit? That's not the point. The point, the objective is for people to get the help they need. That's why I encourage Michael. He said he's trying to put it out there. I encourage people like, whomever it is that's out here that's providing guided perspective from the perspective of professionalism, people who are experts in these fields, like Eddie's an expert analyst. So it's a great thing to encourage him and back him to put the right information out there so people have the right information. And he's a guy. There's a lot of guys out here that need somebody to talk to them in the way that this man is talking. So that's why it's important to encourage that man to say what he needs to say and put it out there the way he needs to put it out there, so people could be receptive to it coming from either a woman or a man. But it will stop, it will slow it down at least to put this guy who is not providing guided perspective from shrinking the population, because a lot of people are falling into the wrong mentality, a dark mentality, and they can't get out. They can't get out, and that's hurtful. I enjoy that show. Thank you. We love you, because I promise you, we can't. All right, we'll see you later. Don't forget to watch the rest later, and subscribe and share. We love y'all too, because and you all coming on is showing us that there is a need for this. There's a strong desire for this. And when it's supported, then it will trend. It will hard trend. And that's when you will start to see change in the manner in which you're asking for it. A lot of scientists, for example, from my perspective, at the level that I'm at, a lot of the doctors, they they can't justify doing the study. conducting the studies that they conduct if they don't have the backing. So, hi, Ty. Oh, yeah, you did. But don't worry, it's a recording. So I got you. I got you. All I got to do is rewind when we're done. But at this point, stay here and we'll keep moving further. So a lot of scientists, psychologists, we cannot justify studying a thing, especially a particular group. And you know what group that is? The African Americans. That's us. They can't they can't understand us in a scientific manner, so they can't make the positive changes that we are screaming that we want. And therefore, they justify leaving us out because we don't trust them. So we have to understand that we have to participate in these things, and this is a safe and easy way to do so in these YouTube videos. So Eddie's right. So what I want y'all to understand, even though y'all missing something, this is why I'm putting it on video. This is why I'm putting it on YouTube. So y'all can see. So you have to understand. I'm talking to you as an African American woman. Why do I say African American? Because I understand my roots are African descent. And I'm also American. My A lot of people want to title my skin color as black and title me as being black. But why do I say I'm African American? Because I'm not going to let you dismiss my roots. This is who I am. This is where I'm from. This is where I'm at. Okay. So there's some differences there, some distinctions. I felt the need to add people. Yeah. And that's because they don't know how to acknowledge us. And I think that's a fair assessment because without acknowledging wrongdoing, they're still kind of addressing it in a roundabout way. So back to the self-soothing. Okay, a lot of people don't talk about how they self-soothe, but they will condemn certain methods of self-soothing. At the same time, they're doing it because this guy right here is got to get more power to gaslight you, take your investments, and yet convince you to continue to invest anything that you get after you've been broken and it's complete brokenness. And they're going to build on that brokenness and continue to play on you by using things that you haven't yet addressed because you don't even know it happened. You're not even aware it happened. And because a lot of times we're ashamed to own up to what happened to us, we're ashamed to say this thing happened and we don't feel like we'll get the help we need because that's really not the objective. The objective is for this guy to win, win, win. Nobody wants to feed into that kind of system. What did you say, Tyson? If you don't acknowledge it. A lot of people feel that way, and that's a part. Some people think that's a self-soothing technique when really it's messing up your mentality and it's going to lead you in a dark place. And a dark place is where we're trying to get people out of. So I don't like to um like a lot of fallacies. I don't like to use fallacies because it's a way of justifying wrongs. Um, a fallacy is like a white lie that everybody uses and they use it for a good reason, so it's okay. It's deemed okay. Just like the teddy bear, trying to feed the teddy bear because you're trying to feed your kid and teach your kid to eat, and you feed the teddy bear, you beat the teddy bear because it's a fallacy, and it's a way for them to justify wrong for a good reason. I gotta get my kid to eat because if my kid doesn't eat, he could get sick and die. That's a justified reason. But what would happen if you explain it really good so the kid can understand why this is happening? I love watching Super Nanny. And on Super Nanny, and yes, I'm gonna promote that. I love it. She teaches the parents and the kids. So no one is left out. I love kids. So I'm gonna promote that. I love what Super Nanny Jojo doing. So she's allowing people to understand the impact that they're having when you beat the kid to discipline the child. But if you explain to the child, this one child, one episode was anemic because the child was refusing to eat their food, the kind of food that was necessary. Was the child failed to get the proper amount of iron. in their system. So now the child was anemic. So they had to try to teach the child how to understand that they need that balance. It was also a young child who was diabetic, type 1 diabetic, and the child never knew. He never understood, why are you giving me this medicine? This medicine is nasty. I don't want this medicine. Stop giving me this stupid tasting medicine. He would refuse to do it. And they still had to count his calories because he was just a little boy. He was like 3 or something. So his parents had to count the calories, do all the things, and they had the teaching, they had the knowledge, they had the training, but they failed to pass that understanding on to the child. So the child didn't know, so the child refused to eat. So they had to give the child more medicine instead of less medicine. So once JoJo came in, she helped them to understand that the child needs to know, why is he taking this medicine? Why is it important? Why are you disciplining me like this? What's the importance behind it? Because once you hit the child to discipline the child, that child just learns to ignore the pain from the hit. Now you've taught this child nothing but to toughen up, take the pain, and still do whatever the heck you want to do, because the only thing that you're going to suffer for is this little bit of pain. That's not true, because you could become a diabetic, you could become anemic, you could hurt yourself by getting into a dark place that you can't get out of, and you think the only escape is to stop living, stop breathing. And that's not true. That is not true. And a lot of people don't understand, how are people getting the understanding that all I have to do to get out of this bad position is to end everything so that I'm not even here anymore. That's not true, because there is a way out. And a lot of times with spirituality, people learn that the way out was in you all the time. It is in you to pray. It is in you to transcend to a spiritual mentality that will gradually alter your physical situation. It is an intangible thing. That's one of the things that God, when He created man, He made it possible that we can speak those things that be not as though they were, and it will physically, literally, physically alter the circumstance, whatever those circumstances may be. That's why when a lot of people are deathly ill, they accredit their spirituality to their healing and the measures that they took to transcend to that level. Now, if you haven't seen the videos of the hierarchy of human needs, I strongly encourage you to go back and watch those so you can see how that applies to relationships, jobs, everything. Okay? Trust, go back and watch it, share it, because you don't know who that's going to help. And it's going to be helpful. Trust me, somebody's going to say thank you for sharing. So, anyway, if you sit there and you don't understand how one thing impacts another, because how can something that's not tangible manifest itself tangibly? That doesn't make sense. But we don't know, as scientists, we don't even know all the things about the human brain. So we cannot disclaim that, but we cannot claim it either without valid studies that support it. So more people need to study or be studied and to study so we can learn how, so we can provide that answer so more people will understand how is it, but it's written. And I believe the word as is written in the Bible and as I've studied it in other faiths, that these things that aren't even tangible, it does physically change. It alters your physical everything. And it's like, how can you explain that so we can validate studying it? You need to get people to ask about that. You need to get people out here to say something about that. You need to encourage more African Americans so we can study African Americans. But we have to get us to trust us. You know what I'm saying? We don't even trust because we have been deceived so many times. We have been gaslight so many times. And hey, work it together. That's all right. I ain't mad at you, sis. And please do share because it's some people that this is going to help. And I know I'm being really slow and gradual, but it's because I don't want to leave anybody behind. So I have to do it this way so nobody gets left behind. So we're going to go back to the topic. So when you see that a lot of stuff is going wrong, everybody's being gaslit, and then you see a lot of people say once they've learned the terminology, everybody overuses it. and they use it out of context. So a lot of people say, "Oh, you're narcissistic." Why? Because now they know that word. So now they use it real hard, like it applies to everything, and it doesn't. Everybody says, "Well, you ADHD." I said in one episode, "You're not ADHD." What I'm saying is, everybody is in everything just because you just learned this word. That is what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not. I'm not diagnosing anybody, especially not for free. I'm just saying I got to eat too. I got bills. You know what I'm saying? I can't can't do that. But what I'm saying is, for guided perspective purposes, on YouTube and social network, what we're saying is, if somebody's giving you a diagnosis and it's over social media, don't believe it. Don't you believe it? Look at this guy. Don't you believe it? Eddie, leave my teddy bear alone. What did you say? I'm going to teddy bear hunting. Just because you can't say that you're okay, some people say go to the gym and punch a bag, and that's self-soothing. Let me show you something. That's not self-soothing. That is you working out your aggression in a positive way. For example, some people say um, they find a way to justify people screaming. Ah, I got a good one. My father. My father loves to fuss. You watching this, Daddy? I'm talking about you. So he loves to fuss and argue, complain, and it disturbs everybody. I mean, everybody. I'm just kidding about it. Leave my teddy bear alone. So, okay, let's put it this way, Eddie. If you mess with the one that's not anatomically correct, we're gonna have to alter some parts so that he can be anatomically correct, so I can get what I need. Okay, how about that? I promise no. Amen, sis. And a lot of people they take that to heart, and that's how they end up in dark places because now they're confused because it didn't fit. It didn't fit. You went there, Eddie. You went there. I'm just gonna follow you. I already told you. You pushed me. I'm gonna push back. Okay, so anyway, um, a lot of people don't understand how these people are getting into these dark places and why they can't get out. And that's because somebody on the internet said something. They took that to heart and they didn't even understand that that was unguided perspective. Had nothing to do with you. Stop laughing at your daddy. He just getting attention, just getting attention. So that's why it's important for us to put out here guided perspective because we don't want to be accountable for somebody doing harm to themselves, shrinking the population. Because, yeah, when you finally kill over, people are going to be on social media spitting on your grave. That's avoidable. I'm not going to say any names of all the people who that's happened to, but what I'm going to say is we need to stop it. That's what I'm saying. We need to stop this by putting guided perspective out here. We need peace. We don't need any more disturbing of the mental of anybody. No one needs that, especially during a pandemic. It's a whole pandemic going on. Now, this man, I'm going to leave it alone. We have to understand that this method of communication has become as popular as it has because it's free. It's free. Let's just put it out there. It's free. Now, there's ways where we could get the help that we need, people, without paying. Because there's insurance companies, there's people who will donate the time, like me. I have donated a lot of my time and given people help for free, but I still have to hold back some things because I need bills to be paid. So that money is going for a worthy cause, but that's still my livelihood. You understand? So I have to do as much as I can to help you, and I have to guide you in the right direction because I'm not licensed to do certain things. So if you have an electrician, he may be licensed to work in your state and he may not. So you have to seek the person who is licensed in your state, in your environment, in order to provide the proper guidance for the codes in your area. So that's why it's important for us to understand these steps and these measures. What you say, Ty? I signed up in it. You know, going through some stuff. It helps. There you go. because while you're working out your aggression physically, especially as a man, they have to do that. You're physically working that out, but it's not full, it's not complete. You don't feel that that's enough. And you're like, oh, what can I do? What else can I do? I need something because it's still something there. That's not a self-soothing technique. It is a method of exerting energy, getting it off of you and putting it somewhere else and positively directing your anger, for example, or positively exerting some energy to wear yourself out so you don't do nothing, that could cause harm in another manner that's a negative manner. So a lot of people, I'm just going to say it, studies are showing that spirituality does play a significant role in your ability to self-soothe. That is a guided perspective analysis. If you want, go and look on Google Scholar and look it up for yourself. I'm not going to sway you because a lot of scholars out here, they write different things. I don't want to sway you and pervert your perspective, but I do want to encourage you to go and find it, because when we find Siddhartha, the Buddhist, with their altered Buddhism. See, I said his name right now. Okay, I said it correctly for a change. He learned and he stated, wisdom is not something that you just, pass on casually to people, but it's better gained through experience. And because sometimes we can say something and it's all about this guy here. Self he's selfish. He's all about building his own castle, his own wealth, his own empire. Meanwhile, you're coming to him as this person who really needs to understand. You just trying to get an understanding. You just really want to understand, and he takes advantage of that. And without you understanding, but how vulnerable you are, he did, Al did. You go and you cling to that, and now you're being taken advantage of. Now you don't trust anyone. It's hard for you to get out of the dark space you in, and you find yourself getting even deeper into the dark space, and now you can't get out. I don't care how many levels of darkness that you go through, you could get out. Siddhartha, for example, when some people look at and study his life and the way he lived, he did not want to take on all that darkness, but he did eventually. And he didn't study one faith. I don't study just one faith. And I highly encourage you to go out here, see what's out here, learn, understand, get an understanding from everything that you get, learn from it. It's not about a negative or positive experience. It's about, what did you learn? Okay. So this is what I'm saying. He got to a point where he had got into a dark place and he didn't know how to get out of it except to walk into the ocean, walk into the sea, because he wanted to end it all. And this is the thing. He felt like he was reincarnated because he survived that, but he survived it so we can all come to the understanding. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. His example gives us the ability to understand that's not the end. And you can still be reached. You can still be helped, because after that, he felt like a new man. I'm not suggesting that you do that. Don't walk into the ocean. Don't walk into the sea. What I'm saying is he went through so many bottoms, rock bottom after rock bottom. He kept going straight through it. But he was found. And it was in him the whole time because of his spiritual journey to study not just one method of faith, but all of the different types of faiths. He was being guided to study one perspective. He was like, this doesn't agree with me. This doesn't agree with me. So he went and studied multiple. And that he came to a new enlightenment that now altered Buddhism forever, because it's a collaborative effort of all the different positive faiths now translated into one person's experience. So the bottom line of understanding is you have to understand how to self-soothe and get yourself out of these problems by understanding that you have the power by your words and by your thoughts and beliefs about yourself. So what you're doing is you're using your free will that God gives us all. I don't care, the creator, the I am, whatever title you give it, we all have innate in us to use free will to call out our own destination. You're captain of your own ship. You are leading this. And how are you leading it? By your thoughts, by your words. And that's why this guy is always trying to influence you to say things that's not in agreement with your whole man. So that's why sometimes you have restless nights. Sometimes you have so much aggression built up in you, and sometimes you conflicting with yourself according to what you were gaslighted. According to what this guy says, and you're looking like, well, I don't know. Let me tell you, the answer is in you. You have to speak those things that be not as though they were. And why is that word important? Because even in Siddhartha's understanding, he said we have to understand it is in us the whole time. And in understanding that it's in us the whole time, we can manifest these things. And scientists are starting to come to understand that when you speak it, you believe it. And when you believe it, it's something going on with your brain. Something going on with your brain, and your brain, we all know, communicates to the rest of your body. It tells your heart to beat. It tells your organs to do what they do. Digest this food, do this. Oh, you too stressed, don't digest the food. Oh, you too stressed, have a headache, have a migraine. The brain is in control. So when you tell yourself, believe something. And that's why this guy is so good at what he does. Because he tells you, but he can't take over your brain or your free will. That's why it's important for you to understand the self-soothe, so you're not looking for him to tell you what to do. You are guiding yourself, and you're giving your power to this guy, or you using those talisman that's helping you to strengthen this guy, the inner person, your whole man. So what you need to do is understand the difference between guided perspective and people who are just out here to entertain. People who are out here to just entertain, they're getting everything. They're taking everything. And it doesn't matter because they build their empire. You don't need nothing because you gave it away. You gave away your inheritance. You gave away what was yours innately. You gave away your power, your strength. And I can assure you, as studies continue to go on about these things, and as I'm motivating more African Americans out here to go out here and participate in these little studies that may watch your brain and ask you different questions, okay? It, it's watching to see what happens to the rest of you. What is the chain reaction with the rest of you that derived from your brain? So this is how words can manifest physical things. Just like they say, sticks and stones will hurt me, but your words yeah, it does. It has an impact. But what it does is by your word, if you say it doesn't hurt you, guess what? You believe it. So mentally, you believe it. So therefore, it does not work. Not to mention, when we put our faith in a positive spirituality, as in the creator who created me, you start to understand you were created for a purpose. You were created out of love, and you accept that. So you're not sitting there depending on this person to give you validation, depending on this person to give you permission. You are understanding now, I'm transcending from understanding that I have to understand everything. Oh no, now he gonna fly the coop because he can't take nothing else from you. Not willingly, because you're no longer going to give away your inheritance. You're no longer going to give away your power because now you're starting to understand. You're transcending to a different level of understanding that only that voice inside of you alone, via you uh, praying, meditating, transcending, studying different faiths or non-faiths and different faiths, you're reaching a level that you need to get to in order for your brain to control the physical things that's happening to you in your life. Okay, that's my time. I know it is getting deep, but we have to understand I got a time limit on this, so I have to go. So I appreciate everybody coming and speaking in your part. And please rewind and watch it and share. And yes, I am not saying things like magic and talisman. I'm speaking in a manner in which you can understand using metaphors to explain various things, just like I use these little prompts. Okay? See, we have to make. Yes, we do have to understand that I'm not saying anything negative about your talisman. We all have our things that help us to do what we innately have in us. My son wanted to, you know, we grow and we're learning, and especially kids. And the more we learn, the more we change. So for now, it may be the case, but later, as we come to different understandings, it'll change again. So, with that being said, I appreciate your comments. So, sometimes, what did I mean by that? I was responding to Ty's comment that flashed across the screen. So, sometimes we have to understand in our infancy state of mind, as our mentality matures, so does our decisions, so does our perspectives. So it's not to say that it was wrong. It's not to say that it was wrong that Siddhartha took on things that he decided that he didn't want to take on. It wasn't wrong. It was all for a purpose. And it changed as things went by, his perspective of how he did those things. So it's not to say that just because you had a negative experience that it's time for you to end everything. It's all for a purpose. It's all for growing. We all encounter some bad things, and those things that we encountered as bad, we survive it because we're strong already. Now we looking like, why did I go through that? What is that for? Because you were strong enough to endure it. So now you can help somebody who's not strong enough to know already that they're strong enough to endure it. So when they see that you endured it, they now understand I can get through this. That's why I love my sister Philanda and I brought her on because that young lady is strong. She's been through a lot of things and she doesn't mind sharing her experiences. I'm going to bring her on again. I didn't see her today, but I'm gonna bring her on again, and she's gonna share because she agreed that she would share, so that because we understand that when we share this information, that's helping somebody. That's helping somebody that's in a dark situation that's went going through now what we went through then. So we can build on that. We can help somebody else, and that's the whole purpose. So people don't think, oh, this is new. This is only happening to me. It's not you. It's new to you. So when you say it's you, we can agree to disagree by saying the common ground is you. You knew. It's new to you. Okay? So just understand there's somebody out there that's going through what you went through, and we can help each other. What you say, sis? Misplaced information drains you. It drains. Oh my God. Oh, it's so draining. You have no idea. It appears that people. Amen. We always have to study to ourselves approve because and people gonna put misinformation out there because that's their understanding. They may not mean to, but it's their understanding, or they're they're being entertaining because they thought this is the way we entertain. Everybody likes it, so this is what I'm gonna do, and I want the attention too, so I'm gonna do it. Whatever they justify it as, we need to understand the difference between oh, you got jokes and oh, you're being helpful. What did Eddie say? There is a chance to grow closer, like talking about these feelings. Yeah, and I'm trying to get off, and I can't go back because it's really late. Ty, boy, need to express those feelings. And you need to. I agree. Yes, I explained that in the beginning of the episode where Ty, you may want to rewatch this and provide, this episode for your son so he could see too. Because we underestimate children. We underestimate them by a great deal. They're extremely intelligent and able to conceive what we're saying, especially when it's brought to their understanding a little bit more plainly using these prompts that everybody was clowning me on today. But that's all right. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it on the chin and keep going. A lot of times, you know, children don't understand that adults are still learning. A lot of people, adults, we don't understand. Scientists are still learning. They don't have all the answers. They use statistics. And I know I used a couple of un-PG examples of that, but we have to understand everybody is still learning. We're still learning. And as we learn, we put the information out there. And when we get better information, we correct what we put out there. So that's important to understand as well. Some of these things are not intentionally misguided or out there to hurt people. It's just once we have the right information, we come back. If you're a professional, you do come back and correct, what's necessary. It's been a show. Watch me. Thank you. Yes, please like, subscribe, and share. It's a lot of darkness out here, and we need to start providing more guided perspective so we can bring these people out of the dark spaces, because you don't know who right now is sitting at home or sitting wherever they sit at work in their car because they just can't take no more. We don't know. We don't know. So share this. Let these people understand that more help is coming. More help is coming. I'll do more episodes and we'll talk about the things that's bothering people to bring them out of those dark places and into a more positive place. And we'll also talk about why there's no shame in seeking professional help. All right. So it's been a good show. I appreciate you guys. Please come again every Monday, 5 p.m. CST, and be on time. And if you're not on time, that's all right. Just keep watching. You'll catch up. And when I end the show, you can rewind. I'm going to end it for those people that really need to rewind and catch everything that I said. Okay?